All right, we are back. Welcome back to Pro Bikini News Network. I'm your host, John Elgandy. And in today's video, we have Q&RA, where you guys submit questions. I'm going to give you realistic answers. It could be about anything that you guys want. So how the show format works is you can submit your question in at one of two ways. One, at torastringcoaching@gmail.com, or two, at my PBNN Pro Bikini News Network story, where I post in the question box. You can submit as many questions as you can. I try to get as many as I can done within 30 to 45 minutes. QB about anything that you guys ask, anything going on with news in the community, health, nutrition, supplementation, training, anything that you guys ask. I have over 20 years experience in the health and fitness industry. I'm a former doctor of physical therapy candidate. I also have my NSCA CPT, and I do coaching as well. Now, I have a fee for this show, and it's simple. I don't run ads on the show. I don't run ads for the show. I support this all by myself. So a couple ways you can support: like, subscribe, share, post your questions in the comments. I love the engagement, but make sure that we can have a good civil conversation with it. You can support this YouTube channel. You can support this page in one of two ways: using my code LClassic10 at Pride Foods and at Unmatched Supps, which I will say this: I love their Electra Shred hydration. I take this almost every day, at least 3 times a day in my shaker. Natural sweetener also has fat burning with acetyl L-carnitine in it. You can also use my code PBNN for Toxic Angelz Bikinis. If you are my athlete and you win your class or your overall at a regional show, I will pay for your national level pro qualifier suit when you go on stage. So that's something I always promise. I always want to give back, and I want to give you value. And I always want to just, the only ways that we can get better is how to find ways to solve problems. Okay, that's what I do here. As you give me a question, I'm going to give you answers. I'm here to be a problem solver. Okay, and find ways to help fix and give a solution to everything. So with that being said, you guys gave me some really good questions. Can't wait to get to this. Let's get to it. All right. First question is, free weights or machines? Which one is more effective and what will build muscle? Free weights. Free weights always. Now, correct form is something that you always have to make sure that you're doing. Now, when you're starting out, you just want to get the form down. So using machines, and I get it with now these days with New Tech, Panada, all these new companies that are coming out, and it's very advanced and complex, which I will say that's great to use, and it makes it more convenient when you have a basis and a foundation. But when you have your basis and foundation figured out, then try to go to that. Now, we don't have to be the most scientifically person. We don't have to be the most technical, the most optimized. Obviously, correct form, training with intensity, duration, volume, that's what really matters. So, I mean, dumbbells is a good one. I don't recommend barbells for like any movement, especially for, bikini athletes. I would say, squats, learning how to, how to do your squats properly, and then going to like using the machines for that, and leg press as well. But just getting the foundation movement and just figuring out how your body works and how your biomechanics work first is what you go for. And then that's where you go with certain machines. There's a way to say, this is what works for this person. Well, this is what works for me, my structure, based off my joints, my bone length, my range of motion. Everybody's going to be different and individualized. So you have to find out what works for you. But always starting out, have that foundation before going into those nice advancement things. Because I was at one of the DMV Iron, and one of the new tech pieces had like 18 different settings. So it's like I have to remember what I have to use versus other things. It's just I remembered what weights I used, what kilograms I'd used, for instance, and always have my tools like my ankle locks for like kickbacks, for shoulders as well. Always have that foundation first. So I would say free weights versus machines. But now as you get older, your training style is going to change. So maybe you're going to have to go with machines versus free weights, because you can't do that as you once did before. It's good to do all that damage when you're in your early stages, like as a teenager to 20s to early 30s. But then starting in later in life, that's when you're going to have to go with more machines. You can still do free weights as long as you're injury free and you're doing things safe with correct form. But I would say best way to develop free weights. Why are figured suits now single colors? Not much two designs to them. I don't know. I saw that recently. I think even that Denise girl that took fourth from Germany, she had like an all green suit. There was no pattern, no geometric. Like Sid would have like a butterfly pattern, and like some competitors have like swirly designs. I think some people are just going nice and simple, especially with the cost of things now these days with competing and the suits and stuff. It's cool to make it intricate and awesome. If you have the sponsorship, you have the support, but I feel like whatever works as long as it's meeting the standard of what of the fit, and also what division's criteria is required for that division for like for the two-piece suit. But I do like those divisions like figure and like other where you can have those nice designs. You can't do that in bikini, you can't have a bedazzled and all that stuff. But that's what makes figure awesome, displaying that whole physique and having that. But I don't know why. I mean, I've seen single blue colors, I've seen single like green, single red. It's just, I guess the times have changed and things are different now. That's what I would say. Thoughts on Issa doing Legion? I mean, she would normally come back she would do like summertime shows. Like I think she won Pittsburgh one year. She did win Pittsburgh one year, I believe. She would do like the shows in August to qualify. But I think she said Texas, but Texas doesn't have bikini unless Freddie decides to add that in last minute. They are trying to get it in for figure. I'm just seeing Rachel Sedgwick's story about that. But Issa doing Legion, I mean, hey, it's great to come back. I mean, I hope she does multiple shows. She's qualified for life, so it's good to like experiment and see different things with her prep and what works for her. But I'm excited to see her back on stage. I'm excited to see how it's going to be with a year off, not competing and coming back with everything. And she's looking good so far. Let's see, how do you think Liz Hunter will do and her husband after her coach stepped down from coaching and now will be a promoter and a judge? So if this person is talking about Mike Ratateni, who also is the owner of Bikini Pro News. He's a top men's physique Olympian coach, coaches a lot of great athletes, Emmanuel Hunter, and obviously Coach Liz in getting her pro card and fit model. But I think Liz will be great with whatever coach she works with. I mean, Emmanuel has a new coach now as well. I'm not going to get into men's physique as much, but Mike, he's got 15 gyms. He's, a franchisee. He's now having his own, he has his own amateur and pro show. Plus he wants to be, and I saw the episode with just little tidbits with Hart on what he wants to do with his future. And he works for, and the guy's awesome. He can look at physique, he can assess and say, this is what I think, this is what this person's lacking. And he can go and say what an athlete needs to do it to improve on and do better. And I definitely think he's going to be a great judge. He is test judging in shows, and I think he'll be a great. He doesn't care if you're his former athlete, if you're a member at his gym. He's kind of like Steve Weinberger at the Bevs, where it's like, I don't care if you're a gym member or you're one of my friends. I will judge you like anybody else. And I think Mike will do a great job. And I hope to see him do well in if in the MPC and in the amateurs. And if Tyler does say so and gives him the nod, maybe one day he'll be on the Olympia panel and judging the physiques and obviously have the integrity of it. So I think Liz will be good, and I'm excited to see Liz going to her first minute. I'm actually trying to get her on, by the way. I think that she'll find a coach and whatever that she does, I think work for her. I think now that she is a pro in fit model, I think how the season will go, we'll ultimately see. But I definitely see her in one of those shows, and definitely see her and in the placings and definitely winning one. By the way, I think she lives in Alabama. She's actually having her own amateur show, the Hunter Classic. So that's going to be awesome. That's also great for them, and Mike's going to help them out with that as well. It's exciting. They're going to get people nationally qualified if they win the overall to NPC Nationals at the end of the year. So I'm excited to see what she's going to do. But by the way, Nashville Fit Show, they're going to have the pro show for fit model. So, I was happy to, contact their sponsors and helping Whitney Weiser out. So that's big news if you guys are not hearing it for the first time here. Nashville will have fit model. That'll be August 15th. So one of the last shows to qualify for the Olympia this year. Thoughts on Torey leaving Damien for Cash? You think it's going to affect her friendship with Aisha? Um, I don't know what happened, and I'm not going to gossip about that. But I don't something with her coach Renee. I think she's really close with her, but I think Torey and her structure working with Cash. I think it's a good match. I think Cash is going to get her disciplined and um get him on track and definitely help her focus on improving her career. I mean, she almost qualified for the Olympia just this past year, and she's had a great season in her rookie season. But her friendship with Aisha, unfortunately, they won't be doing TikTok videos as much, but I do think that they'll be good friends. I do think that they'll still keep in touch. I mean, those two are like great sisters. Those two are like almost like close to each other. So I don't think that's going to affect her. I mean, everyone changes paths, and everyone, moves on. And whatever she does, I think she'll be successful at. And I hopefully keep seeing her on TikTok because she is funny, and her videos do make my day. Why didn't the Pro League make Janet the fit model standard? She looks literally like a model, and she should be the first Olympia champion. Okay, first things first, I'm gonna say one word: no. And I'll tell you the reason why. Even Ashley on her episode of Bikini in the Brain with Adam was like, I could see why people would say Janet could be the fit model standard because she literally looks like a GQ or a Sports Illustrated model like year round. But looking at her 2015 physique, and we're going to pull that up right now, I can tell you why it would not work and how it would have led to, expediting and, Bikini going to an extreme route. So I'm going to pull that up for you guys right now. So here's Janet at the Bikini Olympia in 2015, where she took second. Ashley Kaltwasser won that. That was her third title. So looking at this, it's a good front pose, but she's really capped in her delts, like very muscular. That's like the first thing you're looking at. Very lean. She is beautiful. She is like stunning to look at. I mean, Janet literally looks like a model. That's why I think she does so well, and she has great stage presence. But it would be too muscular, and it would kind of lead to this route of being like really athletic, being really muscular, and it would kind of like go into like a figure division. Keep in mind, this is 2015. She is not figure, but it would almost be like semi-bikini, semi-figure. And it just would not have been a good look. As beautiful as she is, another thing is, when you look at her in the back, this is what I feel like hurt her. Well, she does have great glutes and great delts. She has adductors, really, and that was a big no. They do not want to see her adductors showing in bikini. So that's why I feel like it would never have been good. And I felt like Ashley was a better choice, even though I felt like it wasn't really ideal at the time. How would I have done differently with how Fit Model was I would have taken a bunch of girls who have that kind of look that they were looking for, and I would put that on NPC News Online versus having a physique 10 years ago and saying, this is the standard, this is what people should ideally have and what it looks like. I'm not against Ashley. I'm not against her physique. I think in how Tyler would have introduced it, or the Pro League would have been much better with different references and different physique types of what they want and what they don't want. When they had wellness introduced, they didn't have a person. So they looked at people from Brazil. They looked at Isa, who was the first one to win she's Brazilian but lives in the US, but at the time she was the first one to win the LA Fit Expo muscle contest show that when it happened at the time. So that was like, it was a look that they're like, this is a good look for an ideal. So I would definitely take a bunch of references at first until there is a standard, versus saying a previous Miss Olympia champion is a standard. I know that Janet is going to be doing Japan, and I know that Jessica Wilson's going to be doing Japan, but I just don't know. I just don't know what they're going to look like. I don't know how it's going to be. It's kind of like, we don't know what they're going to look until they're on that stage at the end of this month in February. Then we'll see what standards. But saying a bikini girl is now going to go into fit model and be the standard, I don't agree with it. I feel like, and I know a lot of people are going to give me a lot of crap for this and a lot of flack for it, but I would say that I feel like with this whole new category, a better look would be someone that's brand new versus someone coming as a Miss Olympia champion coming down and saying that's a standard. It would expedite the evolution of the division, versus I would give it a good 3 to 4 years of this division starting to see where it's going to go to. Like with wellness, when it started versus what it is now, the top two girls have not changed in that division. They just got a little bigger. But everybody else, it's kind of hard to nail it, especially because that division is based off a Latin American body. So we'll see what happens with Fit Model, and we'll see kind of what it goes to. But I definitely don't think that 2015 Janet would have been a good idea to make it that the standard. As much as a model as she looks, I don't see. So I understand Ashley and Adam explained it very well. So, and I agree with them, but I don't agree with what the Pro League says Ashley should be the standard. And so Ashley was even flattered, like, oh, I never expected this. But I mean, it's cool to say that what she has accomplished in Bikini kind of goes down to what it was supposed to be and what it should have been. But if you think about it, the reason why we even have a Fit Model division is because, there's like this thing with Bikini where, listen, whatever shows up on show date, that's what they had to go. It's like hard, soft, hard, soft. It kind of needs to have that consistency. And I definitely think the thing is, finding that look for people outside the US to meet the standards in the US. But it's just also what the judges, if they just kept the integrity of the criteria, we wouldn't have the division. I'm happy that they have in this division, for people to start out and go into it, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Like, all right. Thoughts on the Olympia going back to the Orleans? That's a really good question. So I'm happy that it is going back because it hasn't been in the Orleans since 2019. And we've been in different venues. We've been in Orlando for 2 years. Then we went to Venetian, Planet Hollywood, back to Orlando, and then Resorts World. But we've outgrown it. We've now 11, 12 divisions right now, like 7 women and 4 men, 11 divisions. And it's just now they need more space. They're going to keep the prejudging at the Las Vegas Convention Center, which I'm okay with, but it needs to be much bigger. It needs to be in a much bigger space. In the Orleans, the arena, that's perfect for to have the finals. A lot of space, VIPs get the floor seating, basketball and hockey games, so that there'll be upper level seats and stuff, so they'll be able to sell more tickets. I think when it was in Resorts World in 24, John De La Rosa, his parents couldn't get tickets for finals just to watch so the tickets sell out for Saturday very fast. They never sell out on Friday, and that's something they have to deal with because people want to see the more popular divisions on Saturday, which is classic, men's physique, bikini, and obviously who's going to be crowned the Mr. Olympia winner. It's great. They can have much space, more production, bigger area for pump up, weight room area in the back. It's a better experience. I feel like 10,000 capacity is much better than 5,000. And I thought at first it was going to be at the Palms at the hotel, but that's only 2,500. So the Palms would be great if they did the Olympia Amateur, which they haven't announced where that location is going to be yet. But yeah, we've outgrown it. So, I mean, back then it used to be in like Mandalay Bay. It used to be at, it could be in T-Mobile Arena, which they have UFC fights, but I think it's much better in a much bigger capacity. It's much better in an arena. Do I think it could go into a football stadium like Allegiant? Probably not. Could it go into the Sphere? That's 10 million in the door. I don't think they would lose more money. So I think it's ideal for our community to be in that kind of a space and to have that atmosphere. Like the sound system's nice, the music's great. It can go back to that old school with that black backdrop, which I'm hoping they do eventually, instead of having that LED screen. So I think about 2019 when Issa won at the time. There wasn't much nonsense and distraction. You don't need these LED screens in the back. So, I mean, look, I love the Resorts World. I thought it was amazing just walking in. I loved it for the past 2 years. But as a business, and obviously they want to do well and they want to do more for the fans and for the VIPs, they need more seats. So I don't mind floor seating. The seating's random for the Olympia for the VIPs. So didn't like the one I had last year, but 24, I was more closer to the stage, which I'm open because I'm hoping I get it early. That's another thing. So I'm hoping I can get gold because unless someone drops it or doesn't want to be on that wait list. So yeah, I mean, it's great. Maybe eventually they'll be in a much bigger, maybe they'll be in T-Mobile eventually, but we'll see. But it's off the strip. So what's great is that I'm happy that it's not in the Orleans hotel. That's as a hotel, because it's like secondhand smoke. People are going to be coughing, hacking, getting sick. It's not ideal. I don't want to be smelling Marlboro or Camel lights, whatever. I don't smoke cigarettes at all, but I don't want to be in that hotel. The athletes would be unhealthy. They would get they would be sick and coughing and stuff. So I think the Palms is great, especially since they have like almost like condo like things, and microwaves, and people would buy microwaves or rice cookers because their hotels didn't provide it, and they would spend 25, 30, $40 and use it just for a couple days, and they'd have to abandon it because they can't take it back on their plane. And there's some people that are athletes that live in Las Vegas that obviously could be at home, and you know what? You can Uber to the places easily. You can, travel is going to be much better. It's just the strip and the traffic could be hell. Like I think manager Matt said that he went through a whole gas tank just driving the athletes, driving like a couple athletes in the SUV. He's like, man, and within only 1 hour because of being stuck in traffic. And also another thing is you have to consider the conditions and everything and the time frame it's going to take from the Las Vegas Convention Center getting to the Palms, getting to the Orleans. The Orleans to the Palms Hotel is only 10 minutes away, so it's great. Now we'll see what happens and what the schedule is going to look like, but yeah, I'm happy that it's back in the Orleans. Let's see, taking 20 grams of creatine help with cognitive function. I've been seeing that a lot lately, and I would say five grams is perfectly fine. I mean, everyone could do 10 if you want, but until that's been scientifically studied for a long time, then I could say this. If I gave you 20 grams of creatine right now, how fast are you going to solve how fast, if I put you in a maze, how fast are you going to get out of that? Or how fast are you going to function and do your training? Until something's been done again and again and again, and it's been proven, then yeah, I could say that probably works. But a lot of this whole science things, like people making these claims and discoveries, I would do more research on it before believing that is even true. We can go on this whole science-based stuff. I can go on and on forever. I mean, I have my exercise science degree. I've been in stuff. I can talk about supplements and why people should take certain things with certain ingredients. But for this aspect, we're just going to focus on the whole creatine thing. 5 grams of monohydrate's all you need. Like, I would stick to what's been around for almost 200 years versus all this nuance and stuff. But if that is even proven, yeah, I could probably say something about that. Let's see. What happened to the Japan show that got dropped? FWJ, they didn't pay their athletes from the Masters Olympia. So that's why, and the Pro League dropped them. Jake Wood paid, and now they have this new promoter in Japan called Phoenix. So unfortunately, that affected the Fit Model show. So they're going to have a pro show in August for Bikini. Hopefully, they get a Fit Model show. I'm still focused on Pro Bikini in this, even though I am covering Fit Model now because it's exciting. This whole new division's coming up. But yeah, I mean, that's the reason why, because they didn't pay them. It took them that long to pay the Masters competitors that did the show, so that's why. Let's see. Ooh, would Michelle Lewin do well in Fit Model today? Is that the one? She's like a fitness influencer. Her husband's all tatted up and stuff. I think I know what you're talking about. Let me see here. Oh yeah. I think she competed with Janet actually, and she won the overall in the Fort Lauderdale Cup. Yeah, this one. So let me pull up Michelle Lewin. Those who don't know, I think she's Venezuelan. She's I think she's in her 40s now. Let's see. Let me get a better stage photo. Go here. That's what she looks like at the front. Yeah, I mean, I felt like when she started, she was soft, but then she got more like conditioned. You can kind of see the caps and stuff. You can see abs, but she has a model look. I mean, she's a great, fitness influencer. I think people like her because she has a really popular physique. And she's very beautiful. I think she has a kid now. I think recently, but yeah, I mean, if she was in Fit Model now, I think she would do well as long as she doesn't come in too hard and too conditioned. We're just looking at, this is 2014, keep in mind. Back looks pretty solid. I think she'd do okay, I guess. Keep in mind, this is over a decade, so I mean, now she has a great life, a family, she's doing great with her whole life. But yeah, let me just see if I can find any footage of her. If I can, I mean, she has over 1,000 photos on IG. So let's go here. April 2014. And Bikini was so much different back then. Like, she's really bringing out she always had that personality. I think she competed with like Amanda Latona and what's her name? India at some point. But looking at her now, and she has not aged a bit. Like looking at what she looked like then versus now. I mean, she's 40. She looks good. Like, ladies, I don't know what it is, but she might have the Benjamin Button disease. And if you can look like this, man, you're doing something right with your health. Like, man, women look much better now versus in like in their late age versus in the past. Let me see. Let me see when she's not pregnant. Let's see. Her hair color is definitely different. Like she would look like SI or like she would look like she'd be on SI or Vogue. That's she's 40 now. Yeah, I think if you look at her old photos, she did pretty well. She never was outside 12th place in a pro show, but I feel like she made more as an influencer versus as a bikini pro. So, yeah, but she used it to make a brand out of herself. And I'm gotta say that her husband's tattoos are pretty sick. I think I made a comment on one, like on my own page, and I said like, "Yeah, I'm honored with those Egyptian tattoos." He goes, "Thank you." I'm like, Jimmy, yeah. Who knows? I mean, it's much different now, especially with how we evolve with everything. Let's see. Is fit model the reason why women's bodybuilding, fitness, physique are being removed from pro shows? Do you believe that they'll be phased out? I know this has been a lot of talk, and I think women's bodybuilding, like there weren't many people. There were people complaining about not many shows for the division, and for this year, I think there's like 4 in the USA. But you have to understand, people are not showing up to the shows. Promoters have to make money somehow, and it's a business at the end of the day. And if they're not getting an ROI out of it, they can remove it. Um, there were women bodybuilding shows. Even Lenda's show only had 3 people. New York Pro only had 3 people in it. I think Portugal, if you look back maybe 2 years ago, Portugal Pro, there was only 2 girls in it. That's it. So the depth pool is not as good. The interest is not there. You're not getting many young people coming up and wanting to do it. They're mostly, and I don't mean this as any insult or disrespect, because those women work hard, but you're not getting anyone young coming up. And most of them are like in their late 30s, early 40s. And it's hard to track that to a younger audience. And, if you're trying to bring people's attention to go see that division, you got to do something different and draw eyes to it. Now, women's physique, what is there to talk about? Just Natalia and Sarah, this whole back and forth with them. Fitness, no one, no one can really name the top 5 in the fitness division. Figure, like who's the star figure right now? Rhea. I mean, Jessica Reyes Padilla is competing the most out of anybody. But if I asked you right now, just straight up, without looking it up, name the top 5 women bodybuilders, name the top 5 women's physique, name the top 5 figure, name the top 5 physique, name the top 5 wellness girls. Could you probably name them? You probably couldn't. And there's a reason why. And that's not disrespecting them or those athletes and their hard work, but certain divisions are just not as popular as others are. I did see something from Chris Mins when BTS posted that poll of how many pro shows were, and people were insulted that there were more fit model shows than men's open. But it's like, first, men's open is expensive. The sanction fees are more. The cost of the shows are more. The prize money is more. 12, there are not many guys doing shows. They removed 212 from the Arnold because all the top guys didn't want to even do it. And the prize money was very pathetic, which we will talk about because there was a question about that. But, the Arnold Classic, all they have for the female divisions are bikini, wellness, and fitness. Because I think that's where the division's headed to. Chris Mins, he made a comment. I'm going to find that post. He made a comment on why Legion removed women's physique and figure and he pretty much at Legion Sports Festival only has the same divisions that the Arnold Classic has, and it's a 1-day show. Let me see. I'm going to pull it up. And there was comments on it and people giving him crap, and like even current pros were saying some things about it, but let me show you. Okay, here's the post. Open pro show numbers. Men's physique a lot, bikinis a lot, classic, obviously because they're popular in the mainstream divisions. Then you have wellness, which is up there as well. Figure is still up there. Fit model is more than open. And you have 212. Then you start to see the more bigger divisions, the more difficult, fitness. And Chris said, it's funny you guys arguing over which division to support. The answer is the NPC is paying for everything. They pay for the pros, cash purse, sanction fees, venue, trophies, and even attract sponsors. So one bigger cash purse, nurture the NPCs to participate in the seminar every expo and get out there and inspire them. Without them, there's no pro league, full stop. It was one of the reasons I treat NPC athletes like I treat other pros. Let's see. I said this person on point. And then they talk about Like, unfortunately, that's like it comes down to profitability. I offered a standalone Masters Pro show with 50 classes with 150 athletes. It's all 27 tickets. Like the cost for me is at least 80K. There's no way to make 80K in losses. Even the registration fee doesn't come close. Sponsors won't touch it with let's just spectator numbers. So, it's a, promoters have to take a risk, which you need to understand. There's like a loss gain to it. I had Robin Marr on. She only had, when she started her Salt Lake City Pro, which is now Wasatch, in 2016, it was bikini, men's physique, classic, and I think figure. But classic physique at the time, it was the new division, so there was no sanction fee. So she took it, and then over the years, it was men's physique and figure, and then she removed figure because I think she moved figure because it wasn't getting the numbers, it wasn't getting the ROI. She needed to keep it up. Sponsors didn't support it. The fans did not support it. And people were not paying tickets for the show. So that's why she removed it. She's the first USA fit model show, by the way, guys. And I was happy to have her on and we were happy to talk. But if you understand like the whole business side, you have the sponsors, the company's got to support the division. It doesn't work like, hello, can you guys give us money? No, you have to work with the companies, work with the sponsors, and to make things work so that you can have the show and put it on. Freddie and I wanted men's physique at San Antonio, and Tim Gardner said no. He's like, but he said this, Freddie, if you can get me a sponsor to help me put that division on, I'll get it for you. And so, like, even with Fit Model, with Whitney, I was like, Whitney, I can't pay with my own money to have Fit Model on. If you can reach out to these sponsors, I know you're in Nashville, but we talked to other companies, we talked to other suit brands, and we're like, look, we want to have this show. I know a lot of promoters don't want to put on Fit Model because they think it's a risk, and it makes sense why there only is going to be 22 shows this year, but they want to see how it goes, and maybe it does well, and other promoters are going to go, you know what? I'm going to go put this on. Maybe in a couple years, and this is going to get a lot of shit, but Fit Model could be at the Arnold taking out one of those divisions. So it could be taking out wellness, it could be taking out fitness, depending on who's getting the support, right? The last divisions the Arnold removed was figure, women's physique, 212, and women's bodybuilding, because they weren't getting the ticket sales, they weren't getting the sponsor support, and unfortunately they can't have it on. The Arnold is different because the Arnold's an invite. So if you got to look at the numbers logistically. I mean, I go to the finals, I go to the shows that have the divisions I want to see, which are bikini, classic physique, and men's open. I don't mind men's physique, but I don't want to watch 60 guys dance on stage. If it was 20 guys goes by, I'll be interested. But I care about the division. Obviously, I am a classic physique competitor, and I love the bikini division. I love Fit Model. I'm going to be there for those divisions because those are divisions. I'm a fan of every division, but some are not popular. And another thing is the length of the shows. They go for so long. People don't want to sit there for so many hours. And the biggest complaint is having to go and suffer through so many individuals. I think when Legion was on the year Chiron beat Aaron Banks, Ben Quill was on live for almost like 10 hours. And they were just groaning about how long the show was with so many divisions, with the routines in fitness, with all that. So, even at finals for the Olympia, people walk out when certain divisions come on. So even when men's physique was on, people walked out. When bikini came on, people walked out. They just want to see, even the Arnold Classic. The main attraction is open and classic because that's what puts the asses in seats. Sorry for my language right there, but that's just the business, Money means business and business means money. And that's where I think those divisions come up short. People are going to look at Fit Model this year, and if it has success with a lot of athletes and people wanted to participate in it, it's going to grow. When bikini started, it wasn't as popular, but then it grew. People say it's no point, but the divisions that are like that mainstream look, people are going to go and want to see that. You have to understand this is all business. This is all like how things are going to grow and generate revenue. Promoters are not selfish, just like I'm taking all this money. Promoters, they got to put on sanction fees, prize money, pay judges, staffing, production, pay-per-view. They got to look at that and see what's bringing numbers. I think the Texas Pro in 23 had over 100,000 people by the live stream, and people were wanting to see that show. And because of the everything and the quality of it, and obviously the great athlete experience, what Fuad Abia did with Detroit, Steve Carr Classic, and they're going to have Fit Model, by the way, but that's going to be post Olympia. What Jamie Sterling's doing in the Indie Pro, and obviously having the divisions she wants. Any promoter can decide what divisions they want, because they go, I feel comfortable with these divisions because I'm going to have a show that the fans will like, my audience will like, and the community is going to like, and that's why they have it. So do I see those divisions like women's bodybuilding and fitness being phased out? If they do not get the support, if they are not getting the numbers, unfortunately, yes. We didn't have women's bodybuilding after 2014. We didn't have it for 5 years. It only came back because Jake Wood supported it. So if you don't have that support, if the athletes are not doing their part in batting for the division, then they won't have it. And that's something that people have to understand. So I hope that kind of clarifies things. Like, you have to go and bat for your division. Like even Rachel Sedgwick, she sponsored women's bodybuilding for the Steve Carr, and she helped sponsor with her own coaching team figure for the Texas Pro. And Rhea Gale won that Texas Pro, and she got her ticket to the Olympia and won the Olympia. So it helps when athletes and people in the community do versus sitting there and commenting on an IG post saying, I can't believe this, and this is nonsense. That's not going to get you anywhere. Being a person of action, doing something with content, batting for your division. Are those girls doing anything in women's bodybuilding and women's physique and figure? No one is. I mean, maybe a few, but not many. Are any of the top girls doing it? No. So that kind of answers your question. Okay, that was a lot. If you can change shows and qualifications are done, what would you do? So going about the depth pool of shows, I understand this is all business, but there needs to be a point where the Olympia has to be recognized as the ultimate show, as like the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. Yet this is the biggest show of the year with the most athletes in it. But there are shows across the world with like 3 athletes, 4 athletes, and I'm looking at that like, what? And someone gets qualified. So it's not their fault that, that many people are doing the show. But I feel like this, right? Tyler has no effect this. If I was Jim Mannion, I would go and say, if your show does not get more than 15 to 20 people in it in one category, you don't have a show for 2 years. So, for instance, Vancouver, the depth pool has not been as good since 2019. When people see Ashley Kaltwasser doing Vancouver, they're running away. They don't want to do it because they know they wouldn't beat her or even win. And there were only 6 girls in that past show for the past 2 years because they don't want to go against Ashley. So if that show, like there were shows that had 8 girls in it, 9 girls, barely even 10, even for Bikini. Even in some shows outside the US, like for men's physique, did not have more than 10 at all. I would be like, that show doesn't count. I would say, if that same show does not, for any of their categories, get more than 15 to 20, you don't have a show. You're not allowed to have a show. That promoter can't have that show put on. So I would do something different like that. Stage lighting, there needs to be a standard like what Fuad Abia does for Detroit. I would do something like that. Muscle Contest, Tim Gardner Productions, they need a lot of work to do with their stuff. That's something I would say that would be different with how I could change how shows are done. But qualifications, I would go with a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 system. Like I mentioned in one of my things with making the big shows, you win 1, you're in it. The tier 2 shows, you got to win 2 to qualify. Tier 3, you got to win 3 of those small shows to qualify. But I would say, like, if you win a tier 2 show and a tier 3 show, you go. You qualify. But if you win 2 tier 3s and then a tier 2, you qualify. But there should be like a point system where people should like, or you know what I would have done instead of 25 in points qualify, I would make top 10 in points qualify. But you have to make it to a place where, and I think Terrence had this with my coach on a Class Physique Radio. They said like, they have to find a way to make it where there's enough people at the Olympia, but there's not too many and there's not too less. So if there's a way to get at least top 20, top 25, that would be great for every category. So the show can run very well. And we can see the best athletes and see the best people coming at their best. Because with so many athletes, you get less time with individuals, and if they're going to do 10 seconds in fit model, it's going to suck. I would at least get a minimum of 30 seconds. I think I would at least get 30 to 45 seconds for fit model. So that's what I would do with how shows are ran. But in qualifications, like I said, if you don't get more than 15, can't have a show. Because there should not be all these shows all over the world. Like, I look around and look back for 1 minute, bam, there's a bunch of people qualified, which I feel like, and I'm not disrespecting those athletes. We know it's hard to win a pro show, and I'm not being like mean or anything like that, but there are people that should not be on the Olympia stage, but they get qualified because they picked the right show that didn't have enough people in it. And that's not their fault. It's who shows up, the best person wins, and they got to pick somebody. But those shows that don't have a lot of people in it, they should be canceled. Let's see, no. Okay, here's a good one. Do some coaches win because of talent or just good coaching? Do you feel like it's just cookie cutter plans for a lot of the athletes? For some people, and I don't want to sound like mean or jerk or anything like that, but some coaches apparently get lucky with, cookie cutter plans. But in my opinion, the best coaches win with great coaching, not just talent, not just great genetics. You have an athlete with great genetics and stuff, and what can you teach and develop them? Like, for instance, my thing with Cash is this. Cash wins with great coaching and discipline. That's why he has two of the best athletes in the world on the Olympia stage, with Ashlyn and Jazzy, because they're, well coached, they're well disciplined, they do everything to a T, and they diet, they train, they do that, and they have great genetics. But they're not just great genetics, and but they put in the work, they put in the effort. That's why they're some of the best. But Cash is a great coach. It's kind of like Indiana, right? They won the national championship with two 3-star athletes, guys that were rejects from other big major college programs. But how did they go undefeated, and how did they win the national championship against teams like Alabama, teams like Oregon, and all those who have a lot of talent, right? They won with great coaching. That's why they're such great athletes, and that's why their guys are going to get first picks in the draft, and the quarterback won the Heisman. So that's what I think. What's much better. It's you win with good coaching and discipline. Obviously, understanding everyone's going to be different and individualized. So that's what I think. It's not just talent. Like, great genetics are one thing, but if you have great genetics and work ethic, it's hard to beat. But you can't but your genetics can take you very far, but someone can outwork you if they don't have the best genetics, and someone can outpose you if you have the best genetics and you don't pose very well. And that's something even Robin talked about. Like, we see people with great genetics, but they can't pose for shit. But now you have people who have the work ethic. They may not have the most snatched waist. They may be a little wider, but if they can pose and have better stamina and endurance on stage, they can beat people. But that takes great training, great discipline, and being able to be coachable. And I think that's what makes a great athlete. And that's why you see, and that's kind of me. I'm like, I'd rather develop somebody to become that person versus just rely on, to get the best genetics, or you have great genetics and develop them. Like, I can tell you, I just have a client from South Korea, great genetics and great work ethic. And she was in E class, and I told her, you're in the toughest class of any national show. And I know you're outside the US and it's NPC worldwide. And she took fourth in her class. And the girl that won her class got a pro card, but did not win the overall. I looked at her, the first place, and looked at her in fourth. I'm like, look, that girl that won has an amazing physique, but that front pose is really going to hurt her. You have great physique, just need to fill out. You're hard in the front, you're great in the back. Obviously, you need more rear delts, but I look at her and I said, you have the genetics, you have the work ethic, just need to just bring that all together. And that's it. It's not just being the freakiest best person, it's bringing it all together. And obviously, when you come out, having great stage presence, posing well. I looked at her photos of my athlete. I'm like, you're not smiling at all. Like, you need to be happy to be there. Even if a national level show, it's like, yeah, I was feeling sick. It's like, you come in on stage, leave everything behind. You're there to put on a show. And that's all it takes. Discipline, just a little discipline, a little, focus, and just great coaching and obviously being there for the athlete and reading their body and knowing how to individualize and differentiate and knowing what works for them. So I would say that would be a better way to put it. It's like, you don't just win with talent, you win with coaching. That's what makes some of the best athletes in the world. All right. Three more. Do you think more bikini pros will change to fit model? I do think so. I think as the season goes on, and even some people are now going into fit model, but even Sandy is saying, and I think she had this on her live, that they're going to have difficulty if they have too much developed muscle. Trying to bring that down may be difficult for them. But if you have too much developed muscle, stay in bikini or move up to figure or move up a class. But if you outgrow fit model, if you outgrow bikini, move up. But moving down is difficult. I mean, this whole people getting upset about Janet and Jessica Wilson moving down, they're gonna have a hard time. Like, think about Erin Stern moving down from figure to bikini. She struggled at first, but eventually she won a show and she got 15th in her first Olympia. Shanique Grant, going from women's physique to wellness, having to adjust to that to go with a new category and everything. She did win a show. Who's the Canadian girl? She was in figure at first and then went to wellness. I'm blanking. Blonde. She won the Arnold. Cass Gillis. She had to refine her physique and she's still trying to work it to make it work in wellness. So people going from bikini to fit model, it's going to be a lot. I think Lizzie's going to be another one of them girls that's going to do Japan. So I'm curious to see how that looks. We'll see what happens. And so I don't know if I would say she could be in the top spots, but who knows? Common mistake in amateur fit model bikini that what was it? That excludes girls in the first call out. So why some girls in fit model or in bikini don't make the first call out in a national show? It's really dependent, but a lot of times it's posing, it's stage presence, how they come out. Also, they just need more development, more time. Sometimes people just need to find a way to fill out their physique, not come in way too lean. It just takes more time just figuring out someone's body and what works, obviously, when they get to, and obviously the years of experience that they have and what they're trying to do. But if someone's been doing these kind of shows for many years, like if they've been doing bikini for over 5 to 6 years and have not turned pro yet, it's just a matter of when their physique will align and nailing it. And if you show up best and you're the best one of all the people in your class, of all the people in your overall, you deserve a pro card because you showed up bringing everything together. I think that's the most common mistakes. I think posing most of the time and just filling out, coming too lean, not nailing your peak. That's something that's sometimes not always in our control. That's what I would say that gets them out of a first call out. But it's like they're good on one side and on their back side doesn't match their front. So that's also like having that imbalance as well. That's what I feel like would make someone not be in a first call out at a national show. I'm gonna go back to this question. Who are some competitors in Asia that are going to be the Japan Pro? I feel like we're not giving any Asian competitors any love. There are a lot of athletes. One team in South Korea has like over 10 pros. So Sandy said 40 girls, so they're gonna have a quarter of the girls in the lineup. So a lot of them, from what I see, are from South Korea. I think one of them is from Hong Kong on that team. So I think the most popular one is this girl. I think her name is like Davinis or something like that. So I'm going to give the Asian athletes some love. And I feel like the thing with them is they're going to be much smaller than girls here. So they're going to look at us like we're giants. Apparently this girl, Dabin Park, she is very popular on YouTube as well, from South Korea. But that's an insane little waist. Look, Larissa. She won the overall. Dude, that guy's huge. Shit. Like, she literally looks like a model. Like, that's unreal, the waist. How do those organs fit in that little body of yours? I guess it's only from up there. But it looks like she puts in the work and has got crazy genetics. She's with Elevate. Let's see, what's her name? Isla? This was in Japan. She's Korea's first ever fit model. Like I said, I have to see what she looks like on a pro stage. Got insane physique. I can see why she's a winner. This one's pretty good from back. What's her name? Eon? She's the blonde, yeah? No? I think she's the blonde one, yeah. She's the blonde. I think she's carrying a little more muscle, but she's got great ratios. I think she needs to bring down her arms, her shoulders. Go Han Seojin. Not bad. I would definitely get a new suit color. That light pink's almost close to her skin tone. It's hard to cover Asian shows because there's not many big stars. Obviously, we know G-Ben, we know Sally, we know Yume, we know Sarah. That's really good. Used to be tighter in her core. Mayhem, I think is her name. She's another blonde. See, here you go. Don't know what she looks like from the back. Unless this was early last year. I think she's in Bikini at the time. That's Bikini. Bona Yoon. Yoon, yeah. New suit, girl. You don't know what to do? Get the color blue. Use code PBNN at Toxic Angels. Just saying. How long ago was that one? July, right? See, this purple suit's much better. Don't do colors that are going to be too close to your skin tone. I mean, that's insane right here. She could fix this front. I don't know if she's really posing it. Like I said, I can't judge on photos. Angel, I think her name is. Sun. AG. No, it's AG Sun. Here we go. Yeah, that show's sick. But I feel like she's almost bikini-like. Then, I can't remember the other ones, but I know there was a lot. All right. One more question. If you could have your own show, what city would you put your show in and why? That's a good one, Zoe. I wish that was so easy to give, but you know, like I'm thinking where we would have it. Definitely nothing north. Florida, there's a lot of shows there. Definitely not California. Let's see. What is a big bodybuilding hub? I mean, I would say Las Vegas, but depending on what's going on, if depending the time frame as well. So I would think if I could get a show out in like Texas in like the summertime, a lot of obviously with the Texas Pro, you have the NPC Nationals now in Texas, used to be Miami, but that's at the end of the year. You have Bernadette's shows with Galvanized Productions. You have with Republic of Texas. You have the RGV. Now it's going to be the Houston Pro, Heart of Texas Pro. You have San Antonio with Tim Gardner. But if I had any pro show, what I think would be a good, especially with the bodybuilding community, but every division, every demographic's different. I would say if I had my own show, I would probably do Austin, Texas. I've always wanted to go to UT at Austin, University of Texas at Austin. I love burnt orange, the Longhorn colors. I would love, to see Daryl K. Royal, but Daryl K. Royal Stadium. But we're not going to probably, but I would find a good venue somewhere in Austin, and I would put it there. And I think it, being the capital of the city, being capital of the state of Texas, I think it'd be great there. You could do something great if it's in a convention center or something like that. Obviously finding the right venue with the host hotel and making sure everything works well with the athletes. But I would have to think that'd be a great place. You know what I thought about? Instead, Pittsburgh Pro, it's just going on this conversation. Pittsburgh, it's in Jim Mannion's backyard, pretty much. And I did ask Aisha briefly if you think, being in Arizona, you think the Olympia could be in Arizona, so that would save Jake Wood money. I could say that's a possibility, but it would not be a good experience because it's hot as hell in Phoenix. First of all, a lot of people, what are you going to go to Arizona for? What are you going to go to Orlando for? To go see Mickey Mouse at Disney World? It's great because it's a music town. I think people would like it. I think if I ever did, that would be the place. I mean, I'd obviously have to live in Texas to have that and everything. Me being in the East Coast, my goal is to move somewhere out west, but I definitely could see me if I ever did get into that side of things. If I ever did get into the side of like promoting, putting on a show, I would say Austin, Texas. It'd be great. Big bodybuilding community. I definitely think there could be a lot of nice gyms out there. I don't know Absolute Recomp has anything that's stationed out there enough. I do know like they opened up a couple gyms. I know a lot of the athletes are like in that Dallas, Fort Worth area. So that could be a possibility as well. But Austin would be probably my destination just because I think people could have a good experience with that and having the whole community there. If you think it could, Irvine's where the NPC Nationals is, but this is capital of the state, can't get any bigger. So hey, I think it'd be great. And if you can find the right people and obviously, Freddie does a great job with Texas Pro. He does a great job with Battle Up Productions. And I thought about this, because we have a lot of US competitors in the Masters Olympia. Instead of going outside the US and traveling and all that, why not have it in Texas? That would be a great idea. I mean, most of the athletes that are qualified are from the US, not many from outside. Imagine how hard it is to get a visa. We can fly. It's cheaper in Texas than it is in Florida, than it is in Vegas. Who knows if the Olympia may go to Texas eventually, but I think the Masters would be great. I think it would save money. You're in Arizona, you're only about what, an hour, 2 hour flight away or 3 hours to get to Austin. It would be perfect. I definitely think it is doable. It is realistic, but I'd have to see around the town. I have to see what would work and everything and working out with all that. It's a lot of planning. It's a lot of things going in the background on my part, but that's what I would think if I ever did have a pro show would be. I couldn't do anything out in the East Coast and stuff. I'm not a New Jersey guy, and obviously the Manions have the Pittsburgh, so yeah. But yeah, that's all my questions that you guys asked for me today. I appreciate you guys. I know I went a little longer. I went into a little much depth, but that's because I want to give you guys value. I want to give you guys, solutions to your problems and how to fix them. So thank you guys. I will see you guys next week. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, and y'all take care.